search around.
Here goes.
All right.
Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night, 7:08 p.m. Central. The hurricane hit down here, and I survived. It didn't come near me. I got some cold weather and the wind. That's it. But those people down there got the crap knocked out of them. I've been praying for them or whatever. And I'm just glad it didn't hit me. I've been through Michael, so I didn't need that again. This one seems worse than Michael. Ian, whatever the hell they named it. Ian.
Ian.
Ian. They always name it some prick name. Just name it Hitler. But I don't know any Ian, so I was just kidding. But anyway, we got Wild Trees back with us tonight. Biologist Wild Trees. We got Jay McNicholas. How's it going, Wild Trees?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back. How are you doing?
Miserable. But money trouble, women trouble, addiction trouble, just trouble. But no, I've been taking blood pressure pills. I'm trying to wean off those.
Okay.
Just crap. Just a mess. But anyway, how many hits did your last show get?
You got 357,000 and some change. I'm not sure what the change is, somewhere around there.
It got featured, so we'll see if this one does. But I was surprised me if it does. It might. You never know. It's been a little while since one's been featured, so we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll see that name, be like, "Wow, Trees is back," and they'll go crazy.
And this is also broadcast on a Louisiana radio station. Is that correct?
That's what Joe does. He's in New Orleans. Don't say the F word. That's the only rule.
Right. Okay.
107.7 FM down in New Orleans.
Yep.
Great.
Down in the voodoo streets of New Orleans. Concrete Blonde, bloodletting, baby. That's right. But that's a good one.
Well, hello to everybody in New Orleans. Thank you for listening. And thanks for anybody listening to this later on a stream or something as well. I appreciate
That's
it.
Right. I got a Naja Lightfoot coming to talk about some voodoo in December. So,
okay.
But so what you been up to, man? What's been going on?
Okay, well, last time I was here, I was part of a panel discussion show called Black Lotus on YouTube. Black Lotus Productions is a channel, but then unfortunately, the main host, Damian Gray, he had some medical problems, so he ended the show, and then I went ahead and started my own show. So now I have my own show on YouTube called, if you just go to YouTube, type in Biologist Wild Trees, and I've been doing, I do it at least weekly, a show now, and I interview people. I've interviewed like two Bigfoot witnesses now, an abduction witness. I also talk about scientific papers written about the paranormal. So there's a scientific paper recently came out by Hal Puthoff, a scientist, and he was talking about ultra-terrestrials, basically saying how, UFOs and their occupants are all these reasons why they're probably not extraterrestrial. They are real, but they're probably ultra-terrestrials, in that they're Earth inhabitants. They probably live in the ocean. And so I broke down that research paper. There's another research paper by Jack Valet, which I broke down, and that one was about, it was 5 reasons, once again, why UFOs are probably not extraterrestrial, and he gives these really good scientific reasons. And then the last paper I discussed was, it was really interesting. It's basically how there's a lot of experimental evidence for psychic ability being real. That's basically PK ability, the ability to move things with your mind, clairvoyance, and telepathy. There is scientific lab evidence showing that these are real phenomenon. And so that's what I've been doing, working on that channel, basically. So
what's it called? Again?
It's Biologist Wild Trees. So if you want to go there, you just do youtube.com/ and then one word, Biologist, BIOLOGIST, Wild Trees.
So tell everybody why they call you Wild Trees again. What happened?
Right. Okay, so basically, my background is in biology. I have a degree in biology. I've worked at a lot of universities, research stations. I've traveled to a lot of places. I've published research. I continue to do research. I go to scientific conferences. I taught at a university. Anyway, so a lot of my work with science is through academic institutions. And for people that don't know, there's no academic institution that takes the paranormal seriously. So they ridicule the subject, and they would. I guess if I use my real name, that would look poorly on me. It might affect uh, my relationship with colleagues or my career, basically. And I don't think I'm the only scientist who does the same thing I'm doing. I think there are a lot of scientists who study the paranormal, but they do it in secret for the reason I just told you why. And then the name Wild Trees, I think it just popped in my head all of a sudden, and I like it. It's a good name. I think it was a subconscious thing, like why I thought of that name. Part of the reason was I was going through an illness, and I remember I was going to like a doctor's visit, right? And I was just doing really bad. I was not holding up well health wise. I was barely, alive, I guess you could say. Not a lot of joy in my life. And then I remember I saw these two trees in front of the hospital office. So one of them was alive and healthy, it was standing up and it was full of life and leaves were green. And another one was, on the floor and it was rotting away. It was just like a corpse of a tree. And I thought about how, you know that tree, trees just want to be alive. That's all they want to do. Their main their main goal in life is to prevent themselves from becoming that rotting corpse. So I don't know, somehow that inspired me a little bit in my low point. I was like, I'm gonna be like these trees. Okay, I know my life sucks right now, but I'm gonna, for the sake of my body, I'm gonna try to keep my body alive as long as I can and prevent it from being a corpse of a corpse, just like the tree that was on the ground. And maybe subconsciously that mixed up in my head, and I felt like I got this inspiration from trees, and I think that's where the name might have come from. But I did give it to myself.
Cool, cool, cool. So, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Yellowstone. Have you been keeping up with that lately? It seems like it's about to blow up. Like it always seems like that, but I know there's been crazier stuff lately, like magma and weird
Really
stuff. Have you? Yeah, there's been. Look it up. There's been a lot of crazy news about it lately. That's just like a horror movie, like every day.
interesting. No, I haven't been keeping up with that. I've been to Yellowstone as part of my research, and I saw the hot springs, and we pulled up to Old Faithful, and because and we got lucky because it was like right when it was about to go off. Because there's like a time, and we were kind of we were just passing through. But yeah, so I have been to Yellowstone. I saw Old Faithful. I saw all the hot holes. I saw the buffalo, but no, I haven't been keeping up with that news. That's
Yeah,
very
check it
interesting.
out for sure.
All
'Cause I
right.
know there's always, the animals react to that stuff too, like weird stuff. Did you keep up with that weird thing that happened with all those cattle that died in Kansas? Like it was like a crap ton of cattle, like 15,000 or something, wasn't it, Jay? Do you remember that? All those cattle that died?
No, I don't remember the number
Oh
now.
my gosh, it was a lot. Let me see. Cattle died. I mean, it was crazy. Like Kansas City, like it was a lot. Well, it was
Mm,
2,000. Well, I think that's it. It was just like a bunch of. It was 3 months ago. A bunch of cattle just croaked,
hmm.
like at one time, at least 2,000. So it
Interesting.
wasn't
Yeah,
15,000.
the thing about cattle is that I do think there's probably some kind of connection between some paranormal aspects and cattle, because obviously there's cattle mutilations that go on.
Those are crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of them are unexplained. I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of them are just like a regular natural death and predation, but there are cases that are well documented that don't really seem like it's a predator. The cause is very unknown. And then there's this guy I've been talking to. I'm trying to get him on my show. He's a little bit busy. He's working on a documentary thing. His name is David Perkins, and he's really into the Gaia hypothesis, which is the idea that the Earth itself, our planet, the sphere we live on, is basically alive. It is one living thing, and that potentially cattle mutilations are a form of communication from the planet. So the cattle are being mutilated by the planet as a sign. Maybe I'm not sure what the sign would be. Maybe it's against our agriculture. Our agricultural practices are maybe bad or something. But to me, that Gaia hypothesis thing, it makes total sense, because if you look at yourself, or me, or whoever's listening, you're more than likely a living human. I mean, you're not. You think you're one person. You're like, I'm one person. I'm Wild Trees. I'm one individual. But in reality, you're made of trillions of individual living things.
Yeah.
Your cells, basically, your cells, each one of your cells is alive. It's breathing. it goes to the bathroom, it dies, it reproduces. So the idea that the planet itself is alive and that everything else on it is like the cells of the planet, that doesn't sound that strange to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's
yeah,
crazy as far as, I mean, the planet doing it. I mean, it's kind of twisted, isn't it, what they do to them? I mean, I maybe forces on the planet, like we folk or something. I don't know. But I mean, I'm open to anything, but it's just crazy what they do to it. I mean, they pretty much like razor cut it up and, do crazy, crazy blood draining. I mean, it's
right.
crazy.
Well, here's the thing though.
Well,
Like,
but I
go
think,
go.
but I think also, guys, if it was the planet doing it, it
Mhm,
wouldn't be neat and clean. The the,
mhm,
the cattle mutilations are they're surgical, they're precise. The exact same parts are destroyed every time. The lips are taken, the sex organs, some of the internal organs are taken. All of the blood is gone
Might
always.
be
It's no
caretakers of the
trace of it.
planet, aka
Right?
aliens
Yeah.
or whatever.
So if the planet itself were doing it, nature doesn't do things in a straight line or very precise or precision. Look at the Grand Canyon. This is a huge
right.
hole in the ground that's been cut by water, and it meanders through the desert in Arizona. It's not. It doesn't have any straight edges. Doesn't have any 90-degree angles. It doesn't have any. It's not precision cut. So
No, that's
whatever's
true.
happening to this, it's definitely by intelligence, but it's with surgical precision. So whoever's doing it has either extreme surgical knowledge and or biological knowledge of the cows that they're doing them to.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, and you're very right. I was actually just talking about that straight line thing, how straight lines aren't really natural. But yeah, that's why I want to talk to David on the show to see what the mechanism is. I know the general idea that he thinks, but I want to know, mechanistically how would it work. The other thing I was going to say about cattle mutilations. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is not a ding against any uh, practice like ranching practices. But basically, what the cattle mutilations, what happens to the cattle during the mutilations, isn't that? I mean, how different is that than what we do to cattle when we process them for beef? I mean, we also, a lot of times we cut their throats, we stun them in the head to kill them. We do drain them of blood. Certain practices like halal. Nothing against halal, but I believe
Yeah,
this
halal, yeah.
the throats are cut, and then we butcher them up, and we eat all their parts, their tongue, and everything, their brains. So, is it? I mean, is it shocking just because we're seeing it, and we don't usually see the butchering done? Is it that of the burger we eat? Is that why it's shocking? Because that could be like a thing, like putting it in our face, maybe bringing it to our attention.
Well, I mean, with the butchering, we try to do it as humanely as possible. But with the cattle mutilations, we don't know that this damage isn't being done while it's still alive.
Yeah,
We're
yeah, that
not
would be
because no one's seen the entire process from finish to start, or start to finish rather. So we don't know. I mean, if they're vivisecting these animals while they're alive, it's not only cruel, but it's extremely painful to the animal. Probably what would cause their death if they just start cutting into you while you're alive. That's got to be horrible.
right. That would be the thing. Yeah, that would be the thing. Are these mutilations being done while it's alive? And like you said, there's no telling. So either way, we don't really know.
Some guy just came to the chat and just said I'm a commando for no reason.
I've
Like,
seen that. I've seen that guy before. Where have I seen
are
him?
you like net going commando? Does that mean you're naked, dude?
Give us a little context. We just need a little
Yeah,
more
we need for the
context.
military. I mean, what's going on. But I'm open to anything. I've seen weird beings of light.
Right.
I've seen weird reptilians tripping balls. I've seen beings of light sober. I've seen strange little hooded beings on ecstasy around a black box with a friend. A cat jumped and they vanished. I've seen other weird UFO stuff completely sober. So that's enough. When you see that, you get pretty open minded. Don't try to be too open minded, but it opens your senses when you see glowing people leaving your house, and flying into the heavens. So
Yeah.
anything's possible. It might
The,
be fairies that are caretakers. Maybe they like whoppers. I don't know. Who knows? But
the
Yeah, maybe Tinkerbell wants a cheeseburger. Who knows?
yeah, I can't blame them. So what's been going on with some animals? What's some new animal stuff going on?
well, let me see off the top of my head.
I mean,
Well,
is that mostly what you do is animals, or is it different, like environmental, or what?
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Well, I do focus on animals, so I am an organismal biologist, I would say. So the organisms I'm working on are water beetles. There's a certain type of water beetle called the whirligig beetle. If you guys have spent any time in nature, you've probably seen this beetle. So it lives on the surface of water, so it's very visible. It is not hidden, and there's a bunch of them. Like they could form hundreds and thousands of them, but they make these big groups on the surface of water. They're
Hmm.
found all over the world. They move around in little circles. That's why they get the
That's
name
those ones with the
whirligig.
little things that are like.
Yeah, yeah, they float on top of the water with like four legs on the water. They're really neat.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
saw a weird beetle recently. I've never seen it before, but it was like white with little blue dots on it. Like it was weird. I don't know what it
You
was,
probably
but it was
saw it right
weird.
after it molted. That's why it's white.
Maybe it
That
was
could be
weird.
it.
But those are those little things that skip around. They're like yay, 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 like in water, right?
Yeah,
They
and like
don't.
in
Yeah.
creeks
They're
and
always like that. They don't turn into something. I always thought they were just something they turn into something else or something. So they're always
Yeah.
like that.
No, no, actually they do change, but that is their final form. So that well let me back up. The other thing is I am teaching a class on entomology on my YouTube channel, Biologist Wild Trees. So I posted the first lecture already. So it's once you listen through it, it's a college level biology course. But there are two types of insects. They're divided into the insects that go to complete metamorphosis and incomplete metamorphosis. So basically, an example of the incomplete metamorphosis would be like a cockroach. We're all familiar with them. So when a cockroach is born, it comes from an egg, but when a cockroach is born, it just looks like a tiny version of a cockroach, and it just continuously molts. It sheds its outer exoskeleton and it gets bigger and bigger, but it always looks like a cockroach, just different sizes. But then you have beetles, like the beetles I studied, the ones in the water, or like a butterfly is probably more famous, which goes through a complete metamorphosis. And so, going back to the beetle that I study, it starts off as an egg. The egg is in water. It hatches to a larva that looks kind of like a snake. It's very voracious, cannibalistic. It eats a lot of its brothers and sisters and cohorts. And then it goes into a pupa stage, and inside it metamorphosizes and it changes from this snake like creature that lives underwater into this fully grown beetle with the hard exoskeleton. So you're right. It does go through different forms, but the one you see is the final form. And yeah,
and there's three stages, right? It's egg, larva, and then adult, and that's the same as with butterflies and moths.
yeah. I mean, you could add the pupa stage in there. I mean, let me see the cocoon stage. But yeah, yeah. So it'd be egg, larva, pupa, adult. Yeah,
Okay, so there are four. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Generally,
Ooh. Can you tell us anything about a dung beetle? I always love those. I see them here too in Florida.
They like
Just
to play
pulling
with
a little
poo.
piece of poop. There's something sacred about it.
yeah.
I think in India there, or is it Egypt?
Scarab, right? Or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, but there's something
I don't,
about it.
I don't think it's scarabs were more flesh eating.
You
But
ever
yeah,
seen
somewhere in Africa, the dung beetle is like a worship creature.
one of my favorite movies? And you may have heard of this, Wild Trees, Jay, maybe. Microcosmos. Have you ever seen that?
Oh
Mm-mm.
yeah, I have seen it back in the
It's
day. Yeah,
French, and
I
I have it on
remember.
video. You can get it on Blu-ray, but you need to get screwed up on something and watch it.
I remember. What sticks out to me most about that movie is the long sex scene with the snails. Isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
that's the
There's
one.
a dung beetle. It's
Yeah,
beautiful though. It's like time lapsed and all that stuff, and
yeah. They
really
use
good.
they
I
use
love
these
it.
really
They don't
really good.
make stuff like that I know of. I mean, maybe no, it's not. It's rare. I like it. I've seen it. It's one of those things you just put on late at night on a VHS that's weird or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, what's really fun too is so that one of the reasons why that movie works so well is because they use microscopic cameras to get a view of small things. And I've always thought like, okay, if someone's not listening to this and they've never used a microscope, I recommend you use a microscope because even now, I mean, I've been doing biological research for years. Every time I use a microscope, it's the closest I could think of like of going into a time machine or going into a spaceship because it's like you're literally transported to like a whole other dimension. It's very very cool. So like when I'm another organism I study are water bears, is their common name. They're also known as moss piglets and
Tardigrade.
tardigrades. Yeah, they're their own type of animal. They're microscopic. They live all over the world. They have all these cool things. But anyway, they're fully aquatic animals. So what I do when I look at them, I use a certain microscope called a dissecting microscope. It's opposed to a slide microscope. slide microscope, you have a little glass slide with another glass piece, but I use a different type where you can look at three-dimensional objects. But anyway, I fill a little dish, a tiny little dish with water, and I put my sample that I get from the moss or the lichen, and then I start looking with the microscope, and it honestly feels like I'm scuba diving in the microscopic world, because I'm going down all these levels, and you see all these different animals, you see them move around, and then I use a little if I want to move around or manipulate the subject. There's two tools I use. One tool is I get a chopstick and I take out an eyelash of mine, because eyelashes are very rigid, and then you just kind of glue it to the end of the chopstick, and then you use your own little your eyelash to poke around, move things around. And there's just the other thing called, it's like a little miniature loop that a scientist gave to me. There's a way to do it, but it's probably hard. But it's basically a microscopic little miniature loop, like a lasso of metal. It's very tiny, but that's how you pick up the tardigrades. You have to scoop them up. But anyway, I use these two tools to manipulate the environment and look around. But when I'm in the microscope, it honestly feels like I'm scuba diving in an alien world. It's fascinating because you see all these weird things. And then there's another tool I remember I used called a scanning electron microscope, which uses electrons, basically a subatomic particle, which, all matter is made of subatomic particles. So matter is basically what our physical world is made of. If you look at the periodic table of elements, those are the type of atoms that we have. So some common ones are oxygen, carbon, platinum, titanium, tungsten, my favorite element. But anyway, these elements can be broken down into smaller things. So the way this microscope works is you put your subject in a chamber, and it shoots out these subatomic particles called electrons at it, and it shoots them all at it, and then they bounce back to a collector that makes the image. And then you could see things that are thousands of times magnified. So it could be like if you got a grain of pollen, for instance, which normally, a grain of pollen is invisible to the naked eye, but if you put a grain of pollen in the microscope, scanning electron microscope, and then you magnified it, you can get so close that it looks like, I don't know, like a little island you could walk on. I mean, that's how close it looks. You can get so close to it. And I remember using this one electron scanning microscope called environmental. And what's interesting about an environmental scanning electron microscope is that you don't have to do any crazy prep work, because there's some of these microscopes where you have to put your subject in a chamber, and then it gets covered in gold particles. So you have to have gold bars. Anyway, it takes a while. But this one, you just put your subject in there, you make sure it's dry, you can't be wet. And then I remember you just shut the door open, and it starts whizzing. These engines start whizzing. The screen starts flickering, and that feels like a time machine going off. That's what I felt like when I used it. The door shutting, all the fans going, and then the screen pops up, and it's like you're in another world. And part of what I do is I go to schools and I talk to kids about science. And I realized this one time I went to talk to fifth graders, and I had a microscope, and then I got a sample for them to look at, and they were all coming up. And then pretty soon I realized, I was like, wait a minute, this is the first time any of these kids have ever used a microscope. And to them, it was like magic. It was like I was showing them a magic trick or something, because they would look through the eyepiece, and then they would look down at the sample, and they would look back, and it just blew their minds. So microscopes are great, man. I recommend everybody use a microscope at least once in their life.
Cool. Definitely. And I don't know. I remember us talking about the tardigrade, stuff like that. Are there any other ones that come to mind?
Well, yeah, in the same environment. So, the tardigrade shares. It's not a lonely animal in that its environment is shared by a lot of other animals that live in its little niche or its little habitat. So another really interesting one is called a rotifer. So rotifers, there's two types of rotifers. One of them is Jay says the planarians are cool. Yeah, planarians are cool. Yeah, I think weren't planarians in that Swamp Thing origin story? I have that comic book, but
I don't know. I just remember from my biology classes in high school, and I don't think we did it, but they showed us some experiments where they took kind of like the tools you're talking about. They took microscopic tools and they would split the head of the planarian out, and then it would grow two heads. The two halves would grow their other halves back.
Yes.
And then sometimes where they slice it all the way down the middle into two pieces, and then they regenerate their other sides, and then from one you now have two.
Exactly.
And that just blew my mind that they could do that with this microscopic thing.
Yeah, and what I think the Swamp Thing is like, there's a Swamp Thing, a DC comic character, or a
What comic were you talking about with the planarians?
Swamp Thing is the name of the
Okay,
comic.
okay, okay.
So there's a Swamp Thing origin story, one of them, and basically they try to describe how Swamp Thing came to get its powers. But basically, they use a planarian example, and because I think this is true, but I think the other thing they would do to add to what Jay said is they would have a planarian and they would have it like run a maze, and it would memorize the maze, right? But then you would cut it up in all these little pieces, and those little pieces would turn into a new planarian, but they would also have the knowledge of the original one. So
Genetic memory.
they would have the memory, yeah. And so the way that affects Swamp Thing is, I think this scientist falls in the swamp, and he gets inhabited by the swamp itself, but then he gets all the memories and the knowledge of the swamp itself. I think that's how that origin story goes.
Nice.
But yeah, these rotifers. There's two types of rotifers. One of them is well, both of them, they kind of look like eggplants. You know, just imagine a tiny microscopic eggplant, and then at the bottom they have these two little feet that stick out. It's pretty goofy looking, or like a bowling pin. Imagine a bowling pin with these two little feet. And then the way it moves around the rotifer is it inches along like an inchworm. You know, like its whole body is inching around like a caterpillar. But there's one variety that does that, but not only that, it's carnivorous. So then when it wants to move around, it could actually like swim gracefully like a dolphin all over the water where it lives. And then the other thing is its mouth opens up like a predator. So it's got this mouth that just opens up, and in the middle, it's got like a rotating saw kind of, which it uses to eat. It's got like, yeah, like a buzzsaw for a mouth. So that's a pretty gnarly looking microscopic. I mean, if that thing was like any bigger, like the size of a cat, even, it would be terrifying. It would be a top predator in its environment.
Nice.
But it is microscopic, thankfully.
Speaking of comics, there's a new Batman Spawn comic coming in December by
Okay.
Todd McFarlane. I'm checking it out.
Oh, nice. Okay, I was going to ask if Todd was going to write it or.
Yeah, Greg Capullo and Todd McFarlane and somebody else, but there's like all these covers for it, and of course, you know, they go crazy with the variants and everything. Like
Mhm.
for 100, you can get 13 covers and Jay Lee and all this crazy stuff. And then there's crazier tiers to it where you can spend like $5,000, which of course I didn't do that, but where you can get like the real crazy special cover, $2,000. Like it's just they're going crazy over it right now. It's a big one.
Yeah.
There's two other crossovers with Spawn and Batman. I have to get the older ones, but I'm gonna check out the new one for sure. But yeah, I've had to cut down my comic stuff, but I got a little carried away with it for a while.
Did you ever get into digital, like, you know, comicology or
I
something?
saw them, but I mean, I didn't. But it seems like a good idea. Probably cheaper, that's for sure. I
Mhm,
would think so. I know what that is, but yeah.
mhm,
Right now, I have like
Takes
seven
up less space
plastic
too.
boxes full of
mhm.
comic books. Those black boxes you buy that look like a
Right.
monolith from Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
There's probably people out there with their houses filled with those things, like a whole house made of those things. But well,
I have I was to tell a really funny comic book story real fast. So back in 2010, I went to this research station in Colorado called Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, and I spent 10 weeks there as a student. I was taking a college class and doing a research project. And there's a rainy season during the summertime. So it's just like monsoon rains, these biting flies come out. And something about my personality, Jay, you tell me if you're like this as well. But if it's nonstop raining outside, I just shut down as a human. Like I just want to hibernate. Like I have no energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that happened. So every day I was out doing my research experiments on the side of this mountain, like 8,000 feet in elevation, really beautiful country. But then the rainy season came and I was just done. I was done for like a week or two. And what I would do is at the time I had a PlayStation Portable game console. It was 2010, and I went to the computer lab at the research station and I downloaded a bunch of digital Walking Dead comics. And so just for like a week or two, I just stayed in my cabin in my tent and just read Walking Dead comics on my PlayStation Portable. And
nice.
then when it finally stopped raining, my mentor, who's from Cornell, his Ivy League mentor, was like, where did you go for a week or two?"
Yeah, I have those. I have four phone books of that. That's supposed to be all of them. It's like the big old
Oh, right.
omnibuses, four of them.
Yes.
But yeah, they ended it kind of abruptly. But I know AMC needs to chill out. They just milking the crap out of that. It's like you need to end that crap. Like
Put it
they
out of its
are, but
misery.
now there's a new Negan and Maggie show, Tales from the blah blah, and I ain't even keeping up with that crap anymore. I recently bought, not too long ago, all the Jonah Hexes, the first ones that ever came out. You never heard of that guy, the weird bounty hunter with the messed up face
Yeah, I
from
haven't
the
heard of them.
Civil
Yep.
War? But Joe R. Lansdale and Timothy Truman did some of them, and Joe's been on my show. He's a good author, but
Hmm.
does Weird West. But the old ones, they were like, man, 1 through 92, and they were from the 70s. Some of them 30 cents a piece. But it's like a Weird West, like Weird
Right.
West, but it gets good. And then he croaks at the end of those, and they resurrect him. Hex, some sci-fi crazy story of him in space on like a radioactive planet or
Mhm.
something.
Oh
It's
wow.
crazy. Yeah, they're good though, but definitely some old cheese, old nostalgia.
He's been on the CW, that Guardians of the Time
I got
stream
a
or whatever.
tattoo of him.
Oh,
Some
is that
drunk,
Jonah Hex?
yeah,
Mhm.
Oh,
some drunk
nice.
bike. It's from the Joe R. Lansdale book. It looks kind of like, but it was a biker did it in Florida a million years ago. But so you get comics or you just do comicsology mostly?
I haven't read comics in a while, but if I was going to get into them, I would do that digital comics. Just like Jay said, it takes up a lot less space.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
addictive. You want to do collecting, fine. I may have to transition to that so I'll save money. That's the
Yeah,
biggest crazy. It gets
the only
crazy.
drawback to the digital comic is if it's a collectible cover, it won't be worth anything down the road, and there's no way for you to sell it or trade it because it's
Yeah.
digital. But I've got a couple of comic boxes. I've got like the entire run of Amalgam. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. When DC and Marvel were about to collapse,
Mhm.
they got together, artists, writers from both sides, both camps, and they mishmashed all their characters. I mean, so like Batman and
Oh,
Wolverine became the Dark Claw. Superman became uh, he was like mishmashed with Captain America. I mean, they just Amazon was Storm from Marvel and Wonder Woman from DC. They made her into one. It was just amazing. Then it was like
That's
8
weird.
titles. Some of the titles were 12 books long, some were 4 books long, and then some were like 0 books only that were just like introductories. So I got the whole run of that, and that's probably worth some money. But that list of comics brought those two companies back from the brink of death.
mm.
Huh.
That's it. Sounds crazy, man. I wonder if history's going to repeat itself with the movies. Are we going to get to the point where they milk the cow too dry and they're like, all we got left is to mix DC, Batman and Wolverine. That's the only thing we have in the tank that we haven't done yet.
Yeah, like I said, they've got like 8 or 12 titles of Amalgam that they could use to make movies out of. So there's
Yeah.
plenty of fodder out there if they have to. I don't see movies aren't quite as wishy-washy as comic book collecting because either you do a good movie or it sucks. There's no in between. With comic books, if you've got a comic book like let's say Spider-Man, it's been running since the 60s, you've got 12 books per year.
Mhm.
Of those 12 books, even if half of them suck, the other half don't. So people buy them and they don't like it, and they get mad at something, so they'll step back for a few years. I haven't collected comic books since the 90s, but in the 90s, I was in the comic book store every Wednesday getting my subscriptions, getting all the X books, the Spider books, the Batman books, everything that I was collecting back then. And it's just some point I stopped. I mean, not because I wanted to, but things got in the way. Money became a problem. So
Mm.
Hollywood's a little different from comics, but it's a good idea. I would love to see the Dark Claw movie or Amazon, any of those characters. They did some really cool stuff. I mean, some of the characters are three characters deep. Like there's 2 from
Right.
one and 1 from the other that they mashed into one. So
I see those. Those are pretty weird.
I have a question. You brought up the thing about not being able to resell digital things because that's really interesting to me. Because I'm more into video games and I mostly buy the physical copies for that reason, so I could resell them. You can buy a digital copy, you can't resell them. But what about this scenario? Okay, you can only do this once, but let's say for the comics thing, you have a very large collection of digital comics that you bought, right? Well, the way you access them is with a username and password. So could you theoretically one time sell your whole thing? Just be like, what you're selling really is your username and password, and then the person can log
yeah, I mean,
on and change it.
there's definitely that possibility, but it's not the same as you go for say 10 years and you collect comic books for 10 years, and then 20 years down the road, you're hurting for money and you realize, oh my God, I have that one comic book that's worth $70,000. You're probably not going to get $70,000 for a digital collection. But there are comic books out there that are worth so much money that if you find a pristine copy, you'd be set for life.
Right.
So it's quite different. But yeah, absolutely. You could set up a username or password, or maybe even be able to at some point transfer your digital library to someone else. They give you $20 and you send them 20 digital titles or whatever.
It's like Steam. What's going to happen to all those when I croak? They needed some kind of mortuary service where you pass it to someone or something. Steam, I have like 600 games on there or something. Like a crap.
I think you need to have like write down your password and username, put it in a treasure box, bury it somewhere, and then leave the treasure map for your relatives to find, and they could just dig up that piece of paper, and they'll have your 600 titles.
Yeah, but what about Steam Deck? I think it's pretty cool. I checked it out.
I want to get one. Because I need a regular PC, a good one, and it's a pretty strong one. I mean, I know it's made for video games, but it will, help you with
it's pretty sweet
other stuff. Yeah,
it's pretty sweet. But you got to get on that list for it and stuff. I have the PS5. I got an Xbox. I got a Switch. I got that. And I need to play them more often. I try to. There's one I just did on PC that's really good. Orcs. And it just came out. It's called ORX. Look it up. And it's old school, kind of like an RTS. It's doing very well review-wise. ORX. And you build this kingdom, and you have to keep the orcs from getting in, and it's really good. Like, I like it. It's in early access right now, but it's on Steam. ORX.
Interesting.
It's worth it. It's worth it for sure. It's a new one that I like. That's what I like. Strategy RTS. I'll do some of the other ones, but I really like Age of Empires, and there's stuff like that. There's a new Dune one I checked out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, Spice Wars, but I like those. Those are hard. Those aren't on consoles that much either. I tell you a good RTS that I love, Battle for Middle Earth. That was the most awesome Lord of the Rings RTS that came out. It came out on Xbox once, but it's mostly PC. Very hard to find. You can't find it on platforms, like Steam or anything. I found it on eBay. Somebody's supposed to be redoing it graphic-wise and releasing it, but sometimes for copyright.
I have one called War in the North. Is that an RTS? That came out for PS3, Xbox 360. It's called Lord of the Rings War in the North.
I don't think it's RTS, but
maybe.
It's a hack and slash.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what do you mostly play? I mean, what's going on?
Well, I started streaming games. Right now, I've been playing. This is one game called Ancestors, Humankind Odyssey. Is the name of it. Came out in 2019 for PC. Came out for Xbox.
Oh, I know that one. I haven't played it yet, but I got it on sale and never got around to it. Cool, looks neat.
Yeah, it's basically
gorillas and stuff, apes.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think of it. Maybe it's kind of it's a stretch, but it's kind of like a Bigfoot simulator because. The idea of the video game is it takes place 10 million years ago, and you're supposed to play our ancestor, what our ape-like ancestors were like 10 million years ago. And then, you just live in the forest in Africa. It takes place in Africa, and you have to keep your clan alive. Every time you die, you get transferred to another clan member. You have to try to reproduce. If you end up getting killed by everybody, if you kill everybody in the tribe, then you lose the game. And you try to I think the end product is you try to get to the place where Lucy is. Lucy is one of our fossil ancestors.
I think I have that on PlayStation. I got it a while back, but I know it got mixed reviews. It's about like the Assassin's Creed dude or something.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he did one of the Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, but it's cool. It's got like a lot of prehistoric animals, like giant snakes and like saber-toothed cats that could kill you. And
Titanoboa.
Yeah, it does have that. Yeah.
How do you kill them? What do you do? I mean, you just smash them.
You let it swallow you. Then when you're in the stomach, you cut yourself out of it.
What do the chimpanzees do though? The little ape cavemen.
Well, so far the only thing you could do is dodge them. So one of them is coming towards you. There's a little mechanism where you just jump out the way. So you're not really.
That's it. You can't kill them.
I might have to advance I might have to get
a stick. I'll check it out. It looked good.
They're
You
not
have
even
to
at the
develop
Stone
flint
Age.
knapping to get a knife. That's how you do it.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. They're not in the beginning of the game. You're not even at the Stone Age. So you have no
Right.
tools really. So I think you may be able to develop it to that way. But yeah.
3 I gotta get Gotham Knights. I like those
Mm,
Arkham Batman games. That's the newest one coming out October. Batman's dead and something something. And then God of War Ragnarok. Definitely got to get that. That's
right.
coming out in November. Then December, High on Life. It's by the guy that did Rick and Morty and stuff. It's like a
Oh.
shooter that looks really good. I don't know
Ooh.
if you saw the one Trevor something something, but
Yeah.
those are funny.
Trover saves the universe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's by that dude, and it looks funny. Like your gun is, I don't know, it looks crazy as hell. But those are 3 I'm eyeballing for sure.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
God of War is awesome. The Norse. I mean, they've always been good, but the Norse ones, have you gotten to those any? I need to beat the first one still, but it's good.
Yeah, I have a copy of the newest one, just God of War for PlayStation 4, but I haven't really started playing it. But it just got rave reviews, so it's interesting
And you know the spoiler to it, the big deal. Should I give it up?
for the end of the first one.
Well, what's going on in it? Who's the little kid? You know who the little kid is, right? I found out by accident.
Oh,
You want me to
is
tell you?
it's not his son? I thought it was his son, but I guess
It's. I'll go ahead and say
yeah.
it.
Go
It's
ahead and
not
say it.
that Loki. Somehow it's Loki.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Somehow he's got Loki with him, which I
interesting.
could have sworn that's true. I've heard that somewhere. But
Well, if we're giving out spoilers, if you guys have seen the new Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power,
Hmm.
who's the guy that fell out of the sky?
Gandalf.
I agree. I think it's
Yeah,
Gandalf. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you would
because he
think
does that thing
so.
with the little with the fireflies and they
yeah.
fly away and do stuff.
Well, what's funny is my friend who's he's a medical doctor. It's not really related to the story. He's a smart guy, but he loves Lord of the Rings, and he was telling me that okay, a lot of things I didn't know because I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but basically, the Lord of the Rings universe takes place on Earth. I thought it was a fantasy place, but
No,
it's
it's this
Earth.
planet.
It's this planet, and that's why it's called the Middle Age or the Second Age or
The
whatever. It's supposed.
second age of Earth, second Earth. So it's like when the planet, not the planet, there was like the Pangea when all the continents were together. It's
Mhm.
somewhere between now and then, and so Tolkien takes place in the second age of Earth, and the Thundercats. If you ever watch that cartoon,
Mm,
that takes place in the third age of
mm,
Earth. And if you look at the opening
Oh,
sequences when they fly over, looking when they find when the mutants find the Thundercats, they fly over the pyramids of Giza, and
mm,
that's where they find Mumra, the bad guy.
mm.
So
Very cool.
there's some fantasy stuff that is actually based on this Earth.
Yeah, and then the other thing was that Sauron and I mean, there's a lot of characters, but Sauron and Gandalf, they're actually extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
That's their origin, which I
Well,
thought was
Gandalf
weird.
is what's called a Valar. He's one of the elf lords or elf gods,
Okay.
and he was sent here specifically for that task to take out Sauron. And then, so what we're going to see in this series is the origin of Sauron, Saruman, Gandalf, Galadriel, Ellen. Is it Elendil? Elendil? Basically, Aragorn's great grandfather. The battle between Isildur and Sauron, and we'll probably see Celeborn, which becomes Galadriel's husband later on in life.
Mm.
is the
There's a
creepy elf?
lot of
Is the
information to come
creepy
out of it.
elf? I know that old man called the creepy elf Sauron or Sauron or something, didn't he? That old man.
No, the creepy elf is Adar, and he was captured by Morgoth and twisted. He's a twisted
But
elf.
that old man called him that for some reason.
He may have thought he was. The blade that he had was definitely Sauron's blade.
What was up with that old man with the? He had the same crazy, evil artifact tattoo on his hand as the little boy that had the evil artifact. And why didn't he show that to that dude when they were making him, kill that boy or whatever? They never showed the rest of that scene. I guess they're never going to, but
He
you
might
would think
not.
he'd be
Yeah.
like, "Look, dude, I got this tattoo." I was like, "What? Why do you tell the guy you got this tattoo for whoever?"
I don't
Larry
know.
David.
I don't know that it's a tattoo so much as a mark.
Yeah, but you would think it would
But
help save
but
his ass.
but if you watch one of the episodes when Galadriel is in Numenor, that same mark she finds, and it's a sigil that represents an area on the map of Middle Earth where the Southlands are, which is where they're going in the next latest
I
episode.
like it. I don't get why people are retarded over it. Like,
Oh,
who cares?
Wait till you see this last
It
episode.
has an Asian hobbit, a black. Who gives a crap? You're gonna die. Shut up. It's good. I mean,
wait till you see
good.
this last episode. This latest episode is fantastic.
I gotta.
Nice.
Okay, that came out tonight. So, have you watched it? Any Wild Trees?
No, I've just seen the previews, and I just had my friend. My friend gave me the kind of the context of what it was supposed to talk about. That's where he told me about the extraterrestrials and the Earth and everything.
It's worth, you should watch it. It'll surprise you. It's as good as the movies to me, and I love the movies. It looks really nice. It looks good.
The bulk of it is probably mostly if you read the Silmarillion by Tolkien, which is basically like his research notes and product that he did for Lord of the Rings. While he was writing, Lord of the Rings was supposed to come out first, but he got stuck. So he went back and started doing some research. And while he was doing the research, he wrote The Hobbit and sent that out. So the Silmarillion is like a combination of everything that he got together. So I mean, he's got the annexes for the different books. He's got the Dwarven languages in there. He's got the Elven language. And the one annex in that book, I believe, is a little bit bigger than the appendix in Lord of the Rings, where you can actually teach yourself to speak Elvish, the Quenya language. So
very cool.
It's a pretty cool thing. I used to have it. I don't have it anymore. My brother threw out most of my books, but
I kicked your brother's ass.
Probably got most of the plot.
All that stuff your brother got rid of. Tell him I should kick his ass. But anyway, I haven't read those books. I want to. I have them. Your brother probably kicked my ass, but nonetheless, tell him anyway.
Probably.
Yeah, Putin threatens to nuke Satanist West. I'm so tired of this freaking faggot. Sorry. But anyway, it's like, if you're going to do it, just do it. I'm tired of it.
Stop saying it. Either put up or shut up, And I guarantee you, he launches one, then it's over. He's toast.
Idiot.
Yeah. Did you hear what he did today?
I don't know. Release the PPT.
You didn't hear what he did today? So today he has this huge news conference that he's now annexed the 4 regions of Ukraine, Kherson, Donbass, Donetsk, and one other. And they're going to be part of Russia, and the citizens will be Russians forever. So there's some really, really not
cool
he's stuff
bombing the crap out of them, raping them and stuff. Like, you're citizens now. Like, kill your babies. He's sick.
Like, I don't know a lot about politics, but it seems like he's created his own problems, because it seems like, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like, if anybody dissents, anybody goes against him, he'll kill them. So then nobody tells him that his ideas are bad, and nobody tells him bad news because they don't want to get killed. And so then he just keeps doing bad things. I mean, making horrible decisions. Nobody there. That seems to be a problem he created himself.
Yeah, he's a little dick. He's like Trump with more power. That's all he is. Jay loves Trumplegooch. I don't. I don't like any of them. I like Bernie. The rest of them, I don't like any of them. Being pro any candidate, to me, just about nowadays, it's like being pro Jeffrey Dahmer. I just don't.
Right.
I don't like any of them. I like Bernie. I'm kind of glad Bernie didn't win, because they don't need his soul stained. If you get in there and you're like a murderer, weird, I'm a pedo or something. Right. I don't really like it. Yeah, Jay and your Trump. Get out of here. I didn't do it. I don't know what happened.
There's that saying that the left wing and the right wing are both wings on the same bird. Basically, there's not that much difference.
Just arses. I don't even like libertarians. They're weird too. Like, people come there naked. The only thing I know about them is like South Park guys. They seem cool.
Right? Yeah, they're supposed to be libertarians. Yeah.
But why do people come to their speeches naked and stuff? Boots on their head and weird stuff. South Park. I don't know, Jay. I hope he don't think I kicked him. I doubt he does. Probably lost his internet or something.
Yeah, where's he at? He's not in is he? What state is he in?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, right. I gotcha.
Or something.
Well, I was gonna say. So Jay mentioned something earlier about how straight lines are not. We're talking about mutilations and how the mutilations are so precise, and that that kind of precision, straight lines, you don't see that in nature. So it might not be Gaia. Well, I my last interview I had, it was last week on my channel. It's called Minnesota Bigfoot High Strangeness, Portals, Gifting, and More. So I interviewed this guy who lives in Minnesota near the Canadian border, and he's been living with Bigfoot for like about 8 years, and he's got so many strange things that happened. But one thing that happened was him and his friend. He wasn't alone. They were on a deer stand on his property in Minnesota, and they saw a portal open. So it's like a doorway, okay, in the woods. And it was about 13 feet tall, he said. But here's the thing, it was shaped like a doorway. It was straight lines, like a rectangular doorway. And inside it, he said it looked like the northern lights, the greens, the blues going in there. And then
Yeah.
out of it came these these huge orbs, and those were the Bigfoot. But he said the orbs were like beach ball size, but he could tell they were
Yeah.
Bigfoot because they were bobbing up and down and because he could hear footsteps. But anyway, that really weirded me out because I was like, okay, Bigfoot, maybe Bigfoot can go through portals. Maybe he can go invisible. He could maybe he can turn into an orb. But the fact that the portal was straight, that it had straight lines, that threw me off because I was like, yeah, straight lines are artificial. Straight lines are engineered. They're not
Yeah.
natural. So
Jay
it's like,
had that physical encounter. He thinks they're physical only, but then he believes like all this weird alien stuff that's like from exopolitics and all this stuff that seems like it's garbage. So Jay just confuses me. So I'm just going to talk crap about him while he's gone for a second because he'll never know it. But anyway,
now
I
I
think
could
there's
play.
something to it. I mean,
I could play this
paranormal, weird.
video while we're talking. You want me to play this video of Jay's Bigfoot encounter where it
Yeah,
happened,
you have
basically?
it.
Yeah.
You
Okay. So
saved
let me
it.
tell. So well, as far as video games, what I do when I interview someone who's had a paranormal encounter. By the way, Jeff, I want to get you on my show too when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
free. And then what I'll do with you is I'll ask you like, hey, what are your paranormal encounters beforehand, and I'll ask you for the location. So then when I get the location, I get this video game for my Xbox Series X called Microsoft Flight Simulator. And what I do is that when that video game, it uses real time satellite data of anywhere in the world. And you could fly anywhere in the world and you can see what it actually looks like. But what it does, more so than like Google Maps or whatever, it does a 3D reconstruction of the area. So it looks a lot more realistic. So I did an episode on it's called How to Collect a Bigfoot Body Explained by a Biologist. And I used Jay's story. And while I was talking about it, I played these images. But yeah, I could share that video so you could see where he
Yeah.
had his
Does
his
Jay know?
encounter.
I mean, I know he don't care, but I mean, he'd probably like that. But does he even know it?
Yeah. Previously, I had asked him for the address. I told him what I was going to do. Asked him if it was okay, and yeah, he knows about it. So
You can
all
play
right,
it, or what? Do you know how to
yeah,
share it on here or
I
whatever?
think so. Yeah, I think so.
You
I'm getting it
share at the
all right here.
bottom. Where did?
Let me
Okay, there you are. Add to stream.
Yeah. Okay.
Chuck
There we go.
Yeagers.
There
Is
you
this like Chuck Yeagers, whatever? Flight
go. What do you-
Simulator.
No, it's just called Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020.
Oh,
That's all.
okay.
Okay, so I'm going to play the video. We're going to get closer. So this is in Ohio where it happened. It happened in the 70s when Jay was a little boy, a little boy playing with his cousins. But yeah, we're really up high in this area, but you can see it's an industrial area. You wouldn't think Bigfoot lives here, but let me go ahead and play it. And head and just make it full screen. Get rid of some of those bars.
Drone.
And yeah, the video game lets you pick all these different airplanes, and I used to I don't know shit about. I mean, I don't know stuff about airplanes. I don't know anything about airplanes.
It's okay.
And
his computer
sorry, one
crapped
rule.
out, and he goes shit. My computer crapped out. I'll be back as soon as it reboots. So as I'm reading that, I'm hearing you. SS. It's
Okay.
fine, but that's just cool. I'm just wondering. There's a drone. I see it.
Yeah. So it's got a bunch of different planes, and I used to pick this regular plane, but then it would be too fast, and I couldn't get a good view of the area. Then I found this thing, which is called it's some kind of a helicopter thing. No, people can actually, like when you play the video game, two people can fit in this thing. So this is an actual type of aircraft. But what it allows me to do in the video game, it's got excellent maneuverability. It's very slow and purposeful. Because the other airplanes I would use in the game, you would just be flying by the spot, so you could barely see anything. But yeah, we're getting closer here. We're gonna get really close to the houses where it happened. But yeah, it's over here to the left. You see that the little green section? That's where the Bigfoot came out of, and that's where it ran away. There's a creek back there. It's in the backyard of these houses. But yeah, we're just gonna keep getting closer. If you see that little white pin in the back corner,
Yes.
that's pointing at the area where it happened. The encounter happened. But these are modern images, so this area probably looked a lot different in the 70s, but maybe not that much different. But yeah,
It's a
he
trip.
said, Jay said,
We're
you
going to Jay's house when he was a
yeah,
kid to
when he
see
was
Bigfoot.
in Ohio, yeah, he said, he heard, he saw it up close, he smelled it, he heard it growl. There were other witnesses. Um, they saw its handprints, they saw its footprints. I mean, it's one of the craziest, most detailed encounters and most believable encounters of a Bigfoot I've ever heard in my life. It really made me, yeah, believe it more than any other story. Like I said, you've heard it, Jeffrey, right? You've heard it lots of times, and
Yep.
Jay tells that story. If you look at the episode where I was on earlier, Wild Trees on Church of Mabus, then he tells it very well, and I retell it in my video as well. Um, I don't use any clips. I just go ahead and just quote him. But anyway, while we're watching this, I was going to ask you, where does the Church of Mabus? Where does that name come from? What's the story behind that?
One day I found the word Mabus in Nostradamus, and the dark force took me over, and it prepared the coming of the Antichrist. I'm kidding. One day I was stoned. I saw that word. I was gonna make a metal band called that, like
Okay.
shock rock. I didn't do it. I got sober. It turned in. I had a bunch of crap happen to me with UFOs, and I
Yeah.
I was about pissing people off back then. Like,
Okay.
just I was a dick. People consider me a shocker. I'm still one sometimes. People consider me a shocker jock of ufology and all this crap. I'm not really anymore. I'm tired and fat. But basically, I just said Church of Mabus. Like, I don't know. It was just to piss off people.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it
because
was
I did some research on Mabus. I was like, what is Mabus? I started going down the Google hole. I think I found anything. Does it
it's
have a
supposed to
meaning?
mean Antichrist.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
it all came from John Hogue, a white dude who thinks he's Nostradamus, from a documentary he did in the 80s. No one knows what it means. There's a quatrain from
Oh,
Nostradamus, but Nostradamus never says it means Antichrist.
okay. Interesting.
So I'll read the quatrain to you while
All
we
right.
go to Jay's house.
Okay. See, now we're in
We're
a little subdivision area. This is
There's Jay.
there's the
Why is
woods.
he
Look.
naked? I hope Bigfoot wasn't there. Why he's naked. Bigfoot, that story always kind of creeped me, like Bigfoot watching little kids. Maybe it's just innocent, but maybe Bigfoot's stroking it. I
It's
mean,
like
I
had
don't know.
joy in his Bigfoot had joy in his face.
I just hope it's not anything. Anyway, it's sure it's pure. The quatrain is Mabus will soon die, then will come a horrible undoing of people and animals. At once we'll see vengeance. At once one will see vengeance, 100 powers, thirst, famine, when the comet will pass.
Hmm.
That's it. It's no one knows what it means but Nostradamus. It's just all speculation. You watch History Channel, they all say it means Antichrist. Nobody knows what it means. I say maybe us. You can, if you put Osama and Bush together, it'll spell it. If you put Obama and Bush together, it'll spell it. I've had a guy on the show that thinks it's Trump, and he broke it down with Trump with this crazy ass big giant weird chart that I still don't understand, and he
Right.
thinks Trump is it. That might be true. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't know.
Okay.
It's just kind of like, Twin Peaks kind of just messing. I kind of liken it to the Necronomicon and Bruce Campbell just messing with crap that I probably should not have, and that's
You
here
know,
I am.
those quatrains. Nostradamus had quatrains, which were apparently his predictions for the future. But of all that weird stuff, there's one thing that did happen to me, sort of like that, as far as predictions and secret languages. So, I had my own encounter in the woods. I was staying at a research station um, for a month. It was in the middle of the woods in a paranormal hotspot called the Big Thicket National Preserve in East Texas, and I was having a fun time. I was staying in this government, research scientist, uh, wildlife services house, and it was fun. But at night, it was very scary because I was totally alone. It was just me and this roach that was living in the bathroom, and that was my only friend. And it was very scary at night because, like, it was in the middle of the woods. You would go out to the front porch, you could see every star in the sky. So I would get scared at night. And one night, I got a phone call. I think there were two non-humans. I think these two quote unquote aliens called me. They started to, one of them started talking to me, and right off the bat, I was like weirded out. I was like, this does not sound like a human. It didn't sound like a male or a female. It didn't sound like a foreign language. It sounded like a non-human animal. And he started talking in this weird language. Then his buddy came on, another one, kind of like the Minions. I guess like the Minions. It kind of sounded like that, but a little more scary. But I realized what was happening was that their language was actually made of English words. So everything they were saying was an English word, but they were using them totally out of order, so it didn't make any sense. And I've heard accounts that other, people have seen UFO occupants in person, and when they talk, they say they have the same language. They say they're talking in English, but it doesn't make any sense. All the words are out of place or whatever. Anyway, long story short, the way I got out, I was scared. I thought I was going to get abducted, and I wanted to get control of the situation. So what I did is I memorized one of the things they said to me. I was like, let me just relax, pay close attention, and remember one thing they say to me, and then let me repeat it back to them. Let me throw it back in their face. I was trying to get some kind of control.
I said, "Don't go on the church of Memphis," like Twin Peaks talk. You broke disobeyed them. I've had, Peter Levenda is.
I've heard his name.
Unholy Alliance about Hitler and the occult and all this weird stuff. Supposedly, he's one of the dudes that made that Simon Necronomicon. That creepy paperback. That's real creepy. And he was on the show, and he said that basically I made Mabus my own and created the thought form that drains me, which sounds about, I think that's what I did. But no, I don't know. It was just one of those, I don't know, just silly, weird things.
And what is the image associated with it? That's a Bigfoot holding what, like a bat?
That's a stick with a rabbit on the end, dead.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's his head gets cut off. I need a new graphic, but in that one, but
okay,
you can see the whole one on the little bitty one. Jay had computer trouble.
Okay.
So the spooks heard he liked Trumpelgooch, so they kicked him off. I don't understand why anyone likes him. Like, he just seems like an idiot. I don't like him.
Look, let me say some nice things about Trump. Okay, I don't want to say whether I like him or not, because I don't want to open that can of worms. Let me just say, look, I understand why people like him. Look, he's funny. He is very funny. Okay, he's hilarious. He's very charismatic. Some of his ideas are very good. Okay, so that's why people like him. But those aren't necessarily the best qualities for a politician. I mean, those are great qualities for an entertainer. So he is entertaining. I think that's why people like him. But like, once again, those are not necessarily.
He used to be like a wrestler that made fun of poor people or something. Like, you're poor, you're not worth money. Like, when he was wrestling and stuff. I don't get it. I don't get why anybody likes any of them, really.
Right.
I like Bernie because of insurance. I got my balls roasted when I had testicular cancer. I lost a nut, and my dad's company gave him crap that I cost too much and said I should die. Like, some mean supervisor said that. My dad was going to kill him.
Before we talk about your balls real fast, this is the house.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
One of these.
Let's go. We're going to Bigfoot Jay house when Jay's not here, so we can talk about it any way we like.
There you go.
Let's go.
But yeah, as far as Bernie Sanders, like, I supported Bernie Sanders too, and I remember one of my friends was like, "Whoa, his ideas are too radical." But here's the thing: like, if any politician, whatever they say when they campaign, they're not gonna, like, if they actually get elected, they're not gonna, like, pass whatever law or legislation exactly how they said. It's gonna get watered down. Yeah. So even if his ideas were too radical, they're not gonna come out exactly like he said. They're gonna get watered down. So that's no problem for me. I was like, Bernie Sanders. If he was elected for president, then yeah, his stuff would probably pass maybe at 70 or 50%, but that's still good. That's still good. Yeah.
And I mean, there were people dying who didn't have insurance from, like, they had cancer working for him and this one dude died, like, trying to get Bernie in as he's dying from cancer from no insurance. So just touched some nerves,
Right.
I just felt like he really cared, more than the other ones a lot. But like you said, you get in that position, power corrupts. You got to make decisions to murder and stains your soul. So
it'd be crazy.
I'd like to see, go ahead.
I was gonna say it'd be crazy. Look, what would be really crazy would be if there's so I think politicians have done this in other countries, but it'd be crazy if in America a politician could get elected to a higher office, like a mayor of a large city or House of Representatives or Senate or president. And then what they said is like, look, I'm going to live a life of poverty while I'm in service. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna donate all my money. I'm just gonna live in a middle class family. This is a choice I'm making, just to show that look, this job for me is not about money. This job is about what it should be. It was just serving the country or your constituents. Because I think the money in politics is that's what corrupts everything. There's so many opportunities to make yourself rich that and also there's a lot of money that's needed to run effectively. That's the other thing. If you want to get elected for a higher office, it takes a lot of money to
I
run.
wanted kooky Jesse Ventura to run. I like Jesse Ventura. He's a little kooky, but I like him. I'd like to see him. He challenged Trump to a cage match.
Yeah,
I'd vote for Jesse Ventura.
and he was in Predator, so he's got that
Yeah,
going
that's
for him.
right. Ain't got time to bleed. Did you see Prey? That was pretty good.
Yeah, I saw Prey. Yeah, I did a review on my channel. I liked
Really
it a lot.
good.
Yeah.
That same
Yeah.
chick was in Reservation Dogs. Have you watched that show about the natives? It's a show on Hulu
No, I
by
think I need to.
Takahiti Wakiti. What
I
I
think
can always say his name wrong.
Yeah. I think I need to start watching it because it looks funny. Yeah.
It's good. It's got Bigfoot in it and Deer Lady
Oh, really?
and a
Oh,
West Studi and all kinds of natives.
oh, I
that
did
are
not know
cool,
that.
like
Okay.
legendary.
Now I
Another
need to
good one,
watch it.
Resident Alien. I got to catch up on that one. I'm 6 episodes behind on second season. Alan Tudyk on Sci-Fi, where he's an alien, a gray alien as a human. He's funny. But that's
Oh,
a
yeah,
good
yeah.
one.
I saw that
Resident
advertised.
Alien.
Yeah.
That one's worth watching. It's good.
What
Where's
is
his
that on? Or
house?
what
Jehovah's Witness.
Well,
He
the
coming.
video keeps replaying, so we get really close to it, and then it
Oh.
just starts from the beginning. But yeah,
Doesn't
I'll
go
show
down
you.
to it and let us see Bigfoot looking in.
We get like right to the backyard. This looks like a 2-story house and everything. But oh, you know what I was just saying about Prey? Now this is my original idea because I heard someone else say it online. But Prey, I think Prey is a small scale movie in a big franchise that kind of lost its steam. The Predator franchise was good. It lost its
Yeah.
way, but then they came out with Prey, and Prey was like what it did is it made it small scale and it kind of put new energy in it. So I think. It's not my original idea. I heard someone else say this. I'm sorry, whoever you are. I forgot who you are. Some random person.
Samurai.
It was Samurai who said this. That's what we need to do with these big bloated franchises that we still love, that they're never going to let die, like Terminator, like RoboCop, like Jurassic Park. They're gonna keep making these movies, and in order for them to not be so bad, just make the next one really small scale. Just doesn't have to be the end of the world. Just make it just one dinosaur, one Terminator, one like little family, just dealing with it, and just make it really tense. And I think that's a good idea. I mean, the
What-
last Jurassic Park movie. Did you see the last one, Jurassic World?
I
Dominion?
didn't. But what I was going to say real quick is there was a meme about they should let Predator fight a samurai, and it was some dude from I think he's in Mortal Kombat, some Oriental dude.
Oh,
But
okay,
they
okay.
were saying just different time periods. Someone said the next one should be against a samurai story.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I didn't see that one, and I didn't see the one before that.
Okay, yeah. You're not missing much with the one before. The Predator was not good at all. Yeah.
I mean Jurassic Park. I didn't see.
Oh,
the
Jurassic
last-
Park. Okay, yeah.
Which one were you asking me about, Predator or Jurassic Park? I got confused. Is that
Yeah,
what
James
happened? Okay, why is he way down there? Okay, there he is. We're going to your house, Jay.
Oh no, it's my cousin's house probably.
Oh,
His cousin's
we're
house.
gonna go watch
Yeah.
Bigfoot stroking it. But we're going there. Been talking about Prey and all kinds of stuff. That Predator movie, we talked about that some. I'm sure that had to be good from a biologist point of view. Just the Predator is interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting
Creature.
design. He's got and there's a lot of animals in it too. Because he's in the movie Prey, you saw, he tries to go after he's trying to find a top predator, so he goes after a rattlesnake, I think a wolf, a bear, and then he finds out that this Native American girl is the top predator. Or I don't know. Does he underestimate her? I think he maybe underestimates her till the very end when he realizes that he made a mistake.
No, I mean he's basically cheating. He's got 22nd century technology versus 10th century technology.
Right. It's true.
There's a
Now,
good new
Jay, does this
comic,
look familiar? I was just going to
Well,
ask Jay if this was
this is
familiar.
Boardman, Ohio. So yeah, this is kind of like the industrial area just west of Youngstown, where my dad's family all live.
Right now, there's that tract of woods. It's over here to the
Yeah.
left, where it ran off to. But yeah, there are little patches of woods, but there's not a lot of woods. There's just little patches of woods here and there, which is interesting. So, because I was trying to.
Yeah, it was really strange that we saw him there because aside from the neighborhood, the rest of it's like so industrial. I mean, it's like where you can see them. There's warehouses and shopping centers, and it's a highly industrial area.
Why you build a house on my land? That's probably why I was there. Was the house new?
It's probably relatively. I was probably built in the.
This
late
used
60s,
to
early
be
70s.
my house, stupid.
Now,
Maybe that's why it's there.
if he could teleport, then it's not a problem. Maybe he just teleports to little patches of woods here and there, looking for children to look at through the window. I don't know.
Yeah. That worries me. I start thinking of missing 411 and all that stuff and freaking out.
Right.
They might eat them. I don't think they all do, but some of them I've heard of. If you look up Kiwani leporitis, he has a book, Telepathic Bigfoot or Sasquatch or something. He also has a book, Sasquatch People.
Mhm.
He tells a story about a rogue Bigfoot that all the other Bigfoot put him in a cage and make him drink. I mean, put him in a cave and make him drink antifreeze or something to kill him because he's killing humans or something weird.
Whoa. That's
Weird
interesting.
story.
Yeah.
How do they know about antifreeze?
I don't know. Heck if I know. But the dude's pretty reputable. He's been around like since Whitley Strieber and stuff. So got some pretty cool books like Telepathic Bigfoot, Psychic Bigfoot's what it's called. He's like one of the first people saying they communicate psychically and stuff. So
Right. Interesting.
Ron Moorhead is all you need. No matter what you think, there's something weird about Bigfoot. Call it what you want, but he has a book, Quantum Bigfoot. Ron Moorhead is the real deal Holyfield. And he's been on my show. I need to get him on again, but there's something to it that's quantum-y, quantum physics, baby. And he don't play. Look up Ron Moorhead, Quantum Bigfoot, his book. He's got them vocals of them. He's got all kinds of stuff. And whatever you think, there's some quantum physics at play. I believe. I don't know what or how or when, but there's something, and he don't play. So that's who my go-to would say to go to, Ron Moorhead.
Yep, sounds familiar.
He's
So
been
Jay,
on
yeah,
coast to coast and all kinds of stuff.
cool. Yeah, Jay, I think we're getting closer to the house right there. So there's that row of houses that backs right up to the woods right there. Yeah, all these two-story houses.
Right behind like a creek and some trees.
How do you feel, Jay, right now? How does this make you feel?
I haven't been up there in a long time, but yeah, it's bringing back some memories. The neat house they had drop chutes for like the laundry. You could drop it in from the third level, go all the way to the basement. It was a neat house.
I saw something move. Oh, it's a car. Wow, you can see cars. Is this real? Like Google Earth?
It takes Google Earth images, but yeah.
Okay.
But it recreates everything in 3D. But yeah,
For
it's one of
those
these
that
houses
can't
right
see
here.
the screen, that you may not be able to see the screen right now, it's like a simulator where you were going to the house where Jay saw Bigfoot looking at children.
Yeah.
We're going there to the house with a
Now there's a
drone.
lot of woods right there. See, right where I'm at right there. That's a big big patch of woods right there.
Yeah,
I could see it.
But the
Underground.
blue arrow, that's where we're headed.
Yeah. Generally in that direction, you see a little pin. You'll also see like a little white pin that goes up into infinity. That's where we're headed. Yeah.
We've been heading there for like 30 minutes. When do we get there? This thing got some turbo. It's fine. I'm just
no. What happens is we get there and then the video just resets and we go back forward. So we were just there like a second ago, like right in the backyard.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a trip, man. And you haven't had any other abnormal experiences, Jay? Anything else?
Oh, I've seen several UFOs since then, but no other Bigfoot. No.
No ghosts, no aliens.
Ghosts were really early on. I think I saw a ghost walk through the headboard of my bed when I was like 10. in Rockville. It looked like a witch, but it was shaped like the grain of the wood. It was really strange. I may have been just hallucinating. I don't know, but I saw it at least twice.
How old were you? You were doing acid?
At 10, I don't think so. No.
You said
How-
hallucinated.
how-
What are you doing?
Probably hallucinating
doing
on sugar and
something.
candy,
Oh,
sugar and
fun
candy.
dip. Yeah. Okay. We're going there.
But yeah,
We're
and
gonna
then
see it.
Jay, I was also talking about how I interviewed a guy in Minnesota recently on my channel, and he's in northern Minnesota near the Canadian border, and he's been having Bigfoot encounters for about 8 years. He's seen them. He
Wow.
gives them gifts, like peanut butter, jars of peanut butter, and they'll open it, and they'll clean it out. So it'll be like it's from a dishwasher, and as opposed to a bears will just like chew it all up and stuff. And anyway, he was with a friend who works for he's associated with the SRA, Sasquatch Research Association in Minnesota, and both of them were in a tree stand on his property. I mean, I have that video too of that property, and he said one day they were out there at night in the woods and they saw a portal open up. So they said it was it was like rectangular, like a doorway, which once again it's got the straight lines, which is very suspicious. It sounds artificial, but it was about 13 feet, tall, and it was like a rectangular doorway in the forest. He said inside it looked like the Northern Lights. He described it, so it was like greens and purples and stuff. And there was two people there, and then out of it came these two orbs. They were like a beach ball size, large orbs, one after the other. And he said he was like, those are the Bigfoot. He said they were bobbing up and down like they were walking, but he could also hear the footsteps. So it's like the orbs were the Bigfoot. And then those two orbs went directly to where he had put some peanut butter. And then they came back. And when one of them was coming back, he could kind of see the outline of its cone-shaped head or whatever. And they went back in the portal.
Wow.
And so stuff like that makes me think like, okay, I can understand that Bigfoot is a natural animal that has an adaptation to turn into orbs, and it can make a portal if the portal was like round or something like that. But the fact that the portal he described was rectangular, that's what, like you said, I was like, that's not natural. That's artificial. Like
Yeah.
there's no straight lines in nature.
So they might have been coming out of a cloaked ship or something that they couldn't see that was invisible as well.
Ah, that's true. That's very true. What that made me think of as well is like, look, I don't really have any evidence, but it was just an idea I was throwing around. Is like, okay, what if not all Bigfoot, but what if some of these Bigfoot are the same thing as the fairies and the same thing as the gray aliens? They're the exact same animal or creature, but what they do is they want to do a misdirection. So what the UFO occupants do is they don't want us to know the truth. Obviously, they want to remain hidden, so they lie to us. They want us to believe that, hey, we're extraterrestrial visitors, so that we're looking the wrong way. And maybe they also come down on the planet in the woods. They're the same thing, but they want us to think, hey, we're an ape that lives in the forest. We're an ape creature, so that we're looking in the wrong direction, when really they don't look like a UFO. They don't look like a gray alien. They don't look like Bigfoot. This is all just a misdirection. Some of them, not all of them, because it could be there's some actual Bigfoot that are just animals, and these things are piggybacking off of that. They're like, hey, let's pretend to be like those other things, just as a way to throw us off the trail. I wonder about that sometimes.
Well, if you think about trickster energy, I mean, I'm not saying all Bigfoots are that. There may be some that are just physical, whatever, but there may be a trickster energy that shapeshifts,
Right.
like a trickster
Yeah,
energy.
Sure. That's true. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I mean, because in nature, like, one of the biggest things, if you want to remain hidden, which a lot of predators want to do, and a lot of prey want to do, like plants, lions, zebras, lots of animals, they want to remain hidden. One of the biggest things you could give away in nature is what you actually look like, your true identity. That's why, there's some moths that look like the bark of a tree, some insects that look like leaves. The lions will camouflage with the plants. So it's a really big thing to give away your actual physical appearance. That's a big thing to give away. So to me, when I'm thinking about Bigfoot and I'm thinking about, UFO occupants, they're obviously trying to remain hidden. They obviously have technology, some of them. why would they give away their biggest secret? Their biggest secret is what they actually look like. So part of me is like, I think that's all just a mirage. That's a mask that they're wearing because they want to remain secret, and I think they're tricking us. They're wanting us to look in the wrong direction, basically.
I don't trust them. Anytime I've seen weird stuff, they don't ever come up to you and start talking. They just show it to you, and you're like, "What the hell is that?" It's like the Riddler from Batman messing with your brain. That's what it
Right.
seems like. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of like the head f you. They don't ever just come and chill with you or whatever. It's just like, here, bye. Like, oh, gee, did I see that or not? Am I crazy? Just like
Exactly.
quick.
Exactly. They don't treat us on the same level. We're not like contemporaries or cohorts. They're treating us differently. They're not giving us, you could say,
They don't
respect.
ever,
Because sharing your knowledge
yeah.
is respectful. If you want me, I can look at some. I got some other videos. I think I have a video of the Patterson Gimlin location. If you want me to share that,
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be
like
cool.
where I, yeah, let me look for that one.
There's a
I think
picture
my
I
camera
shared
might.
recently of did you see that picture I shared recently of the dude in the suit saying that was the thing and all that? Like they were
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
dude with I don't know how legit it was, but it had boobs.
Yeah,
Suit
I did
had
see that one.
titties. What is Joe doing? He's just kind of lurking watching us, I bet. Ain't no cam on. He's just kind of like spying, seeing what we're doing. I'm watching him. I know he's there. Just sitting there, lurking. You wouldn't even see him. See him a little bit. But yeah, we'll go to the Patterson Gimlin site.
Yeah, I'm just going
So we're
through my.
going there
Just
by
gonna.
drone, by drone.
Yeah, by drone. I'm just kind of scrubbing through. I gotta find that video, but
Yeah.
I think I saw it earlier.
I'm
But yeah, that area is very mountainous. You'll see, but the Patterson Giblin area is just completely covered in mountains. It's incredibly inaccessible. Um, there's no roads or anything like that. It's just that looks more like an area where you would think Bigfoot would be. The Patterson Giblin area is like, yeah, that looks like Bigfoot country.
yeah, for sure. It's an interesting case, but I would grab that Quantum Bigfoot book if you ever get a chance. That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. When was it published? Because you said the guy's been around for a while in the community.
Last few years, I think.
Oh, okay, so it is
That
more of a
Justin
recent.
Kuchin, did I say his name right? He's been on the show. He has a good Bigfoot book too. It's pretty interesting. He did with somebody. It's a bunch of volumes to it. I need to get the second one.
Yeah.
Quantum Bigfoot, like it's just got weird Bigfoot. Let me see. Quantum Bigfoot's on Amazon. 2017, 177 ratings. It's got 4.5 stars. 1.5 star from 5 stars, baby. A lot about Bigfoot and quantum physics.
Now, okay, I'm still looking for that one, but I Roswell site. Do you want to see the Roswell site?
Sure, let's go.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we're talking to the crash site, or are we talking about the ricochet site?
This is the crash site, but where
the actual
the
disc
saucer
came
went.
in. The Arroyo. Okay, cool.
Sir. Yeah.
Oh man.
Let me make it full.
I'm having to take half a blood pressure pill just to try to wean off these things.
Yeah, did they make you feel?
I was having angina a lot, and then I started to take them, and it would go away. But after a while of taking them, they just start to make you feel crappy too. So that's the only thing I take pill wise. I take garlic and aspirin and stuff, but now I got to wean off of it. I was starting to compare them to Jekyll and Hyde. Like I was starting to feel like Hyde or something, like just aggressive and stuff. Someone told me blood pressure. Christina said it can make you feel aggressive or something. I was like, man, I feel like Jeffrey Dahmer or something on this stuff. I got to come off of it. Like I guess it makes your just too low or something, or you become a reptile or something to get off this crap. I still need to watch that Dahmer show. I'm hesitant. The last true crime book I ever read was about Dahmer. I never read another one. It was too much. It's just too much. But there's that new show by the American Horror Story guy. He's kind of creepy, kooky guy that does American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy. But the guy, Evan Peters, plays Dahmer, the guy that's in American Horror Story. He's a good actor. but it looks good. But it's just a lot. It's like, do I want to watch that? It's too much. Some guy said he
Yeah, I heard it's
served
a.
Dahmer at Shake and Bake. Like he worked at
Wow.
Shake and Bake and sold Dahmer a shake and bake, Philly cheese and milkshake. So there's evil in his eyes. What'd you say, Trees,
Okay.
about it?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I heard it's just kind of depressing, entertaining
Yeah,
but
it's kind
depressing.
of
That's the same
sick.
thing with it's kind of like Tiger King. I remember when that came out. My friend who's a veterinarian asked me if I should watch it. I was like, he said, should I watch it? I was like, no, I don't think you'd like it. It's just a bunch of animal abuse, really. A bunch of
Yeah,
people abusing animals. I
it's.
mean, it's entertaining, but it's depressing at the same time.
I wouldn't
I,
watch
I
it
think
again.
I have the video up. I think maybe you just need to add it to the stream,
It's
Jeffrey.
funny,
Is that?
but yeah, sick too.
Yeah.
Sick. That dude's crazy sick. He's in jail now with like cancer.
Hmm.
Nick Cage is supposed to play him. I don't know if that's still happening. We're in the plane. We're going to Roswell, baby.
I think. Wait, hold on a second. I think this is a different one. Hold on. This one. I think I might have started a playlist. I think this is where the Marfa lights are in Marfa, Texas. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Because I had like I think I was just playing so many videos.
Let's go to JoJo's house. I don't know his address. But
Hold on a second. Let me go ahead.
I gotta
let me
watch
play the right
Andor.
one.
I haven't seen that yet. Gotta get into Andor. That new Star Wars.
Yeah, I saw like the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
You stop it because
Okay.
it sucked. What happened?
No, I
You
just got
quit?
tired. No, it looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, here's the right video right now. If you want to go ahead and share it.
I like this kind of technology.
There we go. This is Roswell right here. Yeah, it's just really flat. I mean, that's the thing you'll notice for the Roswell site. There's not a lot out there, but yeah, that's what it looks like.
Just like crap.
But apparently there was a thunderstorm that's what might have caused the crash to happen. That's why it crashed.
I've
Because it
heard
was
so many things. I had
Actually,
Douglas. Let me just say this real quick, Jay. I had Douglas Dietrich on, and that guy's like interviewing a Gatling gun. Like you can't get a question in, but he claimed it was like Japanese kamikaze dwarfs or something from World War One or something weird, or World War Two, whatever. He was serious about it too. But I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead, Jay.
So with the Roswell case, the original idea, which came out of Stanton Friedman, was that it was one of the most violent thunderstorms in the area they had ever seen, and they speculated that lightning had either struck one or several UFO devices and brought them down. The most current theory is, and this is a weird one, but Generals Twining and Ramey. Twining was over top of Ramey, and Ramey was the CO of the 509 bombing group. Allegedly, White Sands, Alamogordo, and Sandia Labs were all working on a new project with targeting radar. So the targeting radar is what they use to track, follow, and shoot weapons, usually missiles, at a ship, so that this radar would follow that tracked item to send that missile there. And they thought maybe they could use that to down some of these craft. So they baited the UFOs with some nuclear testing over there. When the UFO flap began, they think they had upwards of somewhere between 9 and 15 ships at once. They activated the radar and knocked 3 of them to the ground. The first one landed somewhere within either Alamogordo or Sandia Labs territory, which is within a military base, so no one knows for sure. The other 2 were at Corona, which is the one Stanton Friedman wrote about, and then the third one was just outside of Roswell. And by just outside of Roswell, it's like the Arroyo where they found the disc, actually more of a delta wing shaped craft, was actually about 70 miles from the actual city of Roswell. So allegedly, Ramey and Twining set up a trap to shoot these things down on purpose and capture them. That's the latest theory.
But does that theory also say they did have occupants that were non-human inside, biological occupants?
Yeah.
Part of that theory?
Each craft
Okay.
had 5. They knocked down 3, so there's 15. 2 of them were alive. 1 died at recovery. The one that was alive, but barely, was found by University of Arizona geologist class who was out there, digging up rocks and doing, lab work like what you used to, wild trees. And
Yeah.
they were immediately set upon. As soon as they found the craft and the dying alien, they were all cordoned off by military. At the Roswell craft, there was one that was still alive and very much alive. He was like almost entirely uninjured, but his 4 comrades were dead. And he became EBE-1. He was housed with the DOD at Area 51 once they built it in 58. And he lived there until about 58, 59, something like that. And he died of a cold.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I had a friend on the show once. He claimed up and down and swore his dad worked for the Pentagon, and when he was younger, he went there and there was an alien named Bob that worked there, and the alien loved baseball and it like had its own little area there and worked with them. He's come on the show, and I've always thought he's crazy, but maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's a lot to take in. You went to the Pentagon with your dad and, alien named Bob. It's possible. I never ruled it out, but I'm just saying he's been on the show before.
Interesting.
If it ain't true and he's just making it up, he's crazy as hell. But maybe it's true. I don't know.
Okay.
It's possible. It could happen. We had Richard Allen Miller on. I don't know. You should listen to that one, Wild Trees.
Okay.
This guy's been on Coast to Coast. He's like a scientist, more like a mad scientist. Reminds me of the guy from Rick and Morty or something, because he burps and screams. And he was he was a test subject for Timothy Leary and was one of the ASIC people. And he had a Mensa level intelligence, and they did LSD. But he claims, and it's supposed to be true, that he originally helped they were going to base Mulder from the X-Files on him. Something happened and Chris Carter took over, but he was on the show and he's rambling and telling us all this stuff. And he's like, I met an alien in a mech suit.
Wow.
I'm like, what did you say? Back up. That was a trip.
All right.
Remember
I got
that,
the
Jay, with the alien in the mech suit. It's crazy. But Richard Allen Miller, it's on the archives.
I got the video up now if you want to see.
You probably didn't
hear
hear
it.
He was rambling hard. Go ahead. Yeah.
Jeffrey, I got the video up now if you want to see the Passion Gimli location.
Okay. Here we go.
There it is. Yeah. So, yeah, it's totally... Oh, wait, hold on. It starts off... Let me wind it real fast.
Oh, wee.
Let's see.
Oh, woo, oh, woo.
Let's see.
Oh, we're really going there, bro.
Yeah.
Look at that. Shangri-La.
Hold on. I got too many files going on over here. Hold on. Let me.
Which one is this again?
Hold on.
That looks like Youngstown, Canton, and Akron. I actually have a video here. Let me see if I can get mine up here. I should show you. I got the satellite view of that area.
Okay.
I don't know if I can get it up for you guys. Yeah, there we go.
What's going on?
Okay. So I was trying to share a screen to show you guys the satellite view of that area.
How do you do it? You got to pull it up. If I see it, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Yours, it's at the bottom, so I have to scroll down. All right.
Okay, so the little blue blip is the house we were in. Okay, and you really can't see in the backyard, but back here where the hand is was about where there was a sandbox and a small it was labeled as like Abraham Lincoln's family home that he grew up in. It was just a toy clubhouse that I had at our house, and my cousins had the same one. And right about the back where that hand is on the back of the house was the window where he was leaning into. And you can see
What?
there's several houses here where the hand goes down. He
What
ran.
house? What house is Abraham Lincoln's house?
It was just a log cabin toy that we had. They
Oh,
labeled
okay.
it as Lincoln's, log cabin home.
What the hell you're talking about?
It was a toy clubhouse we all had. My cousins had.
Okay.
I had. So anyway,
Right.
we were standing right in this room right here where the hand is, where the finger's about. And when he discovered us, he screamed at me. He was looking right at me, and he screamed at me and scared the piss out of me. And then he ran to about this house here, and then into these woods. And then back here, there's a little creek. And he used evasion technology that I guess certain prey used to avoid being captured, because we could find his footprints all the way through, because it had been raining. All the ground was wet and mushy. So we found his footprints all the way through these 3 backyards, hit my cousin's backyard and these other 2 yards. And then we followed him up, and right at the creek, they disappeared. His footprints did not continue on to the other side of the creek. And so what he must have done is used the creek to mask which way he went. He could have gone left, he could have gone right. He probably went right, because if you go down this way, that's where the industrial part. There's like a big road over there. It's like a 2-lane both ways. There's a McDonald's, there's warehouses and all kinds of stuff. So he must have had to go this way, because if you look, you keep going, it just gets a little thicker in the woods here. So that's probably how he evaded us. But that's where the incident happened. It's right there in that backyard. 40 some years ago, 45 years ago, and this area, I can't believe if I zap out a little bit, this isn't a place. I mean, look at this. This is not where you find Bigfoot. Look at how industrial this is, So he had all this up here that he could easily just ran through and disappeared, and then over here is like where the McDonald's are, and there was a Toys R Us, and there's big industrial shopping center areas. That was just a weird, scary incident that we had.
You ready for this one, Wild Trees?
Yeah, I got the right one.
Cool, Jay.
Yeah.
Why didn't Bigfoot scream? Were you bald back then?
No, he noticed me noticing him looking at us, and then he had a happy face because he was watching us, jump on the beds and play. And then when he realized he'd been caught, his face went to anger. He just gave me a Bigfoot yelp, and then we heard this loud thud, and we ran downstairs just in time to see him lope through the backyards.
Well, where was his hands?
He touched the side of the house,
I
I believe.
On either side of the window, he was bracing himself along
See
the
his
side
hands.
of the window. We could see.
That's good.
We could see his handprints. We could see 2 brown, dirty handprints because he was muddy on the side of the window. Yeah,
I see it.
I'm glad.
I see what you said. I see what you said now, Jeffrey. Jeffrey was he was like, when he was looking at you, could you see his hands? What was he doing with his hands?
His hands were on the house, so he wouldn't fall. he was standing on that log. He was standing on that toy log cabin to get into the window, because it's the log cabin probably 5 feet tall.
Just a stroke in it, baby.
Yeah,
I see Harry.
I'm sure there's pedophile Bigfoots out there, Jeff.
Please, though, I don't want Bigfoot coming to get me, but I'm sure, like people, there's crazy ones.
Yeah, but I'm very seriously doubt that they're pedophiles.
All right, let's stop.
What the hell are you thinking, Jeff?
I'm crying. All right.
I know.
A tear came down my face. All right. Where are we going?
So this is in Northern California, the Patterson-Gimlin film site where they. But yeah, this one, this looks like Bigfoot country to me. It was like, if you told me I'd be like, it's nothing about forests and mountains. So this
is where you expect to see a large ape. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that you see a little pin over there. It's one of the valleys, right? You know, in the bottom of one of
Yes.
these mountains, there was like
Looks
some
like where
water. That
Bigfoot would
looks like a little
live to
floodplain. That's
me.
where it was. Yeah,
It looks like
no
where
houses,
Bigfoot would
no
live.
civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Maybe
they had been to that site several times before they started filming and captured the Bigfoot. So it was like their third or fourth trip there.
so. What it is one guy claims it's true, another guy claims it ain't, and he actually got a picture of a weird suit with boobies.
I don't think so because what's his name? Jeff Meldrum has analyzed that film and has analyzed the creature in it. And he says it's impossible for any human to imitate that. And he's an expert on ape behavior and ape movement. So I tend to agree with him.
I mean that's if that's a suit, man. That is one of the best looking suits
It's
anyone
one
has
hell
ever
of a
made,
suit. Yeah.
ever.
I mean, the thing is with the Patterson Gimlin film is the way the Bigfoot walks away from them. If you or I were to walk away from a camera, we could do this and look at it. The
Right.
Bigfoot shoulders are up here, so they can't do that. So they have to turn this way to look back to make
Right.
sure they're not being followed. If you look at the film closely, the shoulders are even with the chin. And when it turns back to look at Patterson and Gimlin to make sure they're not following it, it actually has to turn its entire torso backwards to the camera. So that's an actual ape behavior. It's not well, we're apes too, but it's not typical human behavior.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and also the other thing that a guy on YouTube named Thinker Thunker, his channel Thinker Thunker, a good analysis he's done. What he's found out is if you look at all these Bigfoot videos, like Patterson Gimlin, you know, even if they're blurry, what he does is he analyzes the ratio, like how long are the arms compared to how long are the legs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
he notices that whatever human you look like, doesn't matter if it's a basketball player, if it's a woman, we have the same ratio. Our arms are not as long as our legs. But
Yeah.
if you look at a certain percentage of Bigfoot videos, the ratio is thrown off completely. They have much longer arms. But some videos, you know, they have the human proportion, and he's like, those are probably hoaxes. That's probably a guy in a suit. But
Right.
there are a lot of videos like Patterson Gimlin where the arms they just don't match the human proportion. That's probably a real video of a real
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah. When we stand up, our arms stop about just past our waist. Bigfoot stop just before the kneecap. And if they need to, they can lope around on all fours because, like a gorilla, you know, they have their forearms are twice the length of ours at least.
Exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I have to I totally believe that UFOs have multiple explanations. I don't think it's just one thing that covers everything. And I'm starting to think I think the same thing has to apply for Bigfoot as well. I don't think it's just one explanation. I part of me thinks like there has to be some group of Bigfoot that are just animals. But there's got to be others that are mimicking those animals and that are more than animals. But maybe they use the animal as a cover. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
let's go back to Roswell. With Roswell, Jay, do you think those little occupants in the ship, do you think they came from another planet? Because I'm starting to think they came from the ocean. They're actually just Earth habitats that live in
No,
the
they
ocean.
actually came from another planet. When EBE-1 died in 57, 58, right after he was housed at Area 51, the planet he came from, they sent another hostage to stay at that base, and that hostage was named. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. It starts with an R. He stayed at that base for about 20, 25, 30 years before he also eventually died. And what they did was, as a sign of good faith and peace, they traded the new hostage for EBE-1 to, I guess, to foster goodwill with the U.S. government. But we were most definitely, if what the latest theory says is true, we were definitely out to try and knock these guys out of the sky on purpose. Maybe not necessarily kill them, but you know, this trap did kill 3 planes worth of UFO aliens, and you know, only one of them survived out of 15. So that is an act of war. So obviously they felt they needed to send a new hostage to keep us from shooting their guys down.
I wonder if I wonder if they learn it, if they learn and adapted from that incident, and so that strategy wouldn't work anymore. I wonder if we wouldn't be able to shoot him down the same way anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but if they're anything, remotely advanced than us, then yes, they must have developed some sort of counter to that, because it was new technology to us. And if you look back, even at World War II, Mussolini had trouble with the Ethiopians when he went to go, attack northern Africa. He had machine guns. They had spears and cowhide shields, and they were kicking his ass. And he had to ask Hitler to send down some help, so he sent Rommel down there to help, which is why they lost Europe and the whole fiasco there. So sometimes the low technology takes over the more advanced technology. And there's one of the Predator movies, I think, where they use an arrow, and they shoot the arrow at the Predator, and it goes through his shields,
Right.
and hits him.
Sure.
So, or not.
Well,
Which one? It's one that has like a protective shield, and they shoot the arrow at him, and it goes through, and it actually injures the alien behind the
we got. Hey guys, we got to end this. It's been a great one. It's always a pleasure to have Wild Trees on. It's been a journey of Wild Trees. It's always a great show, and we always enjoy it. Anything you want to plug, man, before you go?
Yeah, just my YouTube channel. That's the main thing I'm doing. Like I do play video games. I discuss scientific papers having to do with paranormal subjects. I do interview witnesses of abductions and Bigfoot, and I am teaching a college level course on insects. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you just go to YouTube, type in Biologist Wild Trees, or you could also go to youtube.com/biologist wild trees, one word, and that's where you'll find me every week.
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. And next week, I think it's Halloween Tarot or something. I'll have to look it up. But everybody have a good weekend. And thanks, Wild Trees. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Secret JoJo. Everybody have a good night. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks,
night.
guys. Good night.
Sexy beast.